Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Optimized Ecommerce Podcast. I'm Tanner Larsson, and today we are joined by repeat guest, Mariana Dourado. She is a BGS revenue optimization expert. She's been on the show before, obviously. That's why she's a repeat guest. And she works with some of our Amplified clients, as well as helping our Ecom Insider members optimize their stores and really dial them in. Today, we're going to be talking about something kind of interesting, and that is wizards, okay? Not wizards like Harry Potter wizards, but wizards as in the way that you can use a bit of technology to ask people questions that then give them an answer in terms of what the product is that they should go. So you can use sizing wizards that'll help people find the right size of a product. There's wizards that can help them narrow down categories and different things like that. And in this case, Mariana's going to take you through what they are, how they work, and how in this specific case, we were able to really boost conversions by almost 4 times the conversion rate, like 4x increase in conversion rate by using a wizard. And this is really interesting because the way the wizard is used and the type of products that are being sold, most people would never connect the dots that a wizard could be beneficial there. But it's been very profitable for them. And we're going to share that with you today. So Mariana, thanks for joining us.
Sure, happy to be here. Hey, everyone. So yeah, we're going to talk about wizards. And just to give you a client overview, they sell therapeutic jewelry to treat ailments. So the store already has an overall conversion rate pretty high, but we saw that when people interact with the wizard, these people convert at 3 to 5% more than the overall conversion. So it's insane because it's really helping. So it can be a very good strategy depending on your business as well.
Absolutely. So, and guys, a little bit what she's talking about there, which is why this is so interesting, is now you don't want to force a wizard on your people if it doesn't make sense. But in some cases, even in situations where you wouldn't think it is, like therapeutic jewelry. Well, like if I'm buying necklaces or bracelets or something, do I need a wizard to know what the bracelet or necklace is? In this case, it wasn't about the product. It's about what the product did, where the wizard came into play and allowed people to figure out what they needed faster. So that's what we're going to go ahead and get in here. So why don't we start with this, Mariana? Let's before we get into the actual product case study and everything, let's talk, you've given the overview, but let's talk about what wizards are for and when to use them.
Okay, so whenever you offer a big number of products that can make the process confusing and make users face what we call paradox of choice, right? When you're paralyzed because there are a lot of options and you don't know where to go. Also, when the product is new or relatively new, that's also a good call. Or when the features are still unknown, when users are not familiar with the features yet. And also when you offer similar products with similar features, even if they're not that many, this can be a good choice as well.
So in that case, could be like you have a standard version and a pro version, but they're basically the same product, but with just a few differences. So people aren't sure what to choose, right? And the wizard would help them and ask them questions to help them isolate which product is better for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so what should I have in mind when I set up a wizard? Like obviously there's a lot that can be done and there's a lot of ways to do it wrong. So what are some things to keep in mind when you're doing this?
So the first thing, you gotta try every possible, you gotta go through every single step, make sure everything is working properly. Check if there are not any broken pages or broken steps, because this can ruin the entire wizard, right? So in this case, we actually got a survey the client already had and turned it into a wizard. So they had like a lot of URLs to come to the result. We turned it into a pop-up and we tweaked some copy and made some other updates, but used a similar structure as a survey. So you gotta make sure everything's accurate. We spent like a few weeks doing this wizard. I was even dreaming about it because I tried it like 20 times a day, 30 times a day. Me and the devs just wanted to make sure everything was accurate. So also, you got to make sure that you present the information in a clear way, because you can throw a bunch of new info to your users. If it doesn't make sense to them, or if it's not clear, you're not helping, you're just hurting them. So yeah, got to make sense, make sure it makes sense to your audience, and that there are no broken steps, and that every result you get from the wizard is accurate.
Now, you mentioned that this is a great example. Like, people survey their list and they have questions that they already asked them to help them get information. But in her case, it was a multi-step or multi-question survey. So when you took that to the wizard, is the wizard just a one long series of questions, or is it like one question at a time that's conditional based on what they answered?
Yeah, it's one question at a time. So before, it was like for each question, there was a different URL. And then you have like the several steps. So you don't answer everything at once. You just go through each step and you say yes or no, and then you choose the most accurate option there. So it's conditional, it's not a whole thing.
Okay. So I don't know if you can you give them kind of an idea, like an example, like of how they would walk through the wizard? Like what was it asking, so that they can understand how it starts to help self-select?
So first the age, and then after the age, you have the symptoms. So we can figure out. So it's important to understand that each stone will treat a different ailment. So, but people don't know that, right? So it would be pointless to say, oh, we have this X stone, and people will be like, okay, it doesn't matter. It's not important for me. So we focus on the symptoms. So you say, oh, does the person, you or whoever you're buying this for, have this symptom? Yes or no? And then another symptom, yes or no? And then after all of these questions, you get the most accurate collection page.
Gotcha. And so in this case, it would by age, it would sort, because they have stuff that like for babies and infants as well. And so it would actually, that would be the first branch off. So you have your broadest category here by age, and then it goes down into, specific symptoms. And guys, if you think of what she's talking about, again, we talked about it at the beginning, but that therapeutic gemstones basically that have, quasi healing properties or whatever. So if you have headaches, then there's a specific gemstone that would be best for someone to wear if they have headaches. If, the baby has, I don't know, a rash
teething
or something
pain.
Teething pain, something like that, then, there's the stuff for that. And there's different products and certain kinds of things overlap. But the reason that the wizard works, if you think about it, people come to the site, they see all this jewelry, all these different therapeutic jewelry, and it all kind of blends together and looks the same. Unless you're truly an expert at this, then you don't know. So otherwise you have to dig through every product and go, oh, nope, that's not right. Oh, no, that's not right. Oh, no, that's not right, to figure out which one's right for you. Whereas the wizard lets them jump to the front of the line. It's like, hey, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me. Cool. Here's the 4 products that relate to me, or here's the 2 products that relate to me. And I can make my decision very, very fast. So that's where the wizard in this case really, really becomes strong. But it's one of those things that your average jewelry store or anyone else would never think that a wizard could be of benefit to them, right? Because they're like, well, they can just look at it. But in this case, they figured out a different issue. It wasn't that they couldn't look at the product. It was that they didn't know the features of the product or what the benefit of each of the products were. And rather than trying to shout all the benefits of each product to people at all times, they're saying, hey, let's find out exactly what they need and then present the benefits of the correct product to them at the right time. So you're entering that conversation in the customer's head and, really helping them get to where they want. The wizard is beneficial to them, not to you as the store owner, right? That's a big thing. There's a lot of crappy wizards out there that don't really actually help, but they look cool, but they don't actually help make sales.
Yeah, if it's not going to help, just don't have it. It's better. It's easier for you, and it's better for the customers as well.
Yep. So one of the things, once you have the wizard, that one of the big things is, how do you get people to actually use it?
So whenever you want people to see something, you gotta make it prominent, right? So in this case, it's the same logic. So for example, if you're having this behind the link, you gotta make sure the link is visible, underline it, make it blue, just like the other links on your website to keep it consistent. And also another idea is to incorporate the first step already to the homepage. So for example, in this case, it's age. Instead of having it behind the link, you can make it part of the page. And the reason to offer that on the homepage is because typically it's the page where people are building their strategy to navigate on that website, right? So if you only provide the wizard on other pages, let's say on product pages, when they have already chosen something, it's likely that they won't drop the current strategy to use the wizard and then go through it. So it's going to be pointless. So yeah, the main thing would be to make it visible, make it prominent, and you can try adding the first step incorporated to the homepage.
And yeah, that's actually a really good point. We have a bunch of our clients that use wizards. We actually have one of our Ecom Insider members who's we've been suggesting a wizard to her because she sells a type of fencing product that's very like there's different attachments for different types of fences, and there's a lot of different pieces that people really struggle with. Man, what parts do I need? So we're saying, hey, when they want to look at your products, before they even get into the product categories and all that stuff, hit them with a wizard. Now you could have a link below where they can skip the wizard if they want, but give them a wizard where it's like, what type of fence do you have? And then they select what type of fence they have. And then it can show them the category that makes the most sense for them. And you can visually do this, but the idea is making that the first step where there's no way to get to the product potentially. It depends on what you're selling, but that it becomes the first step in anybody's shopping habits. We've also have some of our clients that when they use their wizards, they actually make the wizard the landing page of the ad. So the ad calls out something like, in this case, find the right gemstone that will solve or help you with your symptoms or whatever. You got to be careful about language because you can't say healing and whatnot, but and then they land on that page. And they're on a wizard that will help them self-select, and you have some copy on there to help dial them in. So you can actually send your ad straight to a wizard if it makes sense for your product. So some products lend themselves to this much better, like this fencing one. It would make sense to not let people see the other stuff because it confuses them until they actually identify what type of fence they have and what they need. In this case, if people are interested in the healing properties of gemstones, the wizard could be made into kind of like a fun thing to help them find out more about the type of gemstones that would help their body. And so you can actually run ads directly to them as well. Prominent is a huge thing. And then I like the big part about, making sure that if it is, if they're on the product page, there should be multiple places where the wizard can be located, right? Multiple ways where it can be triggered. I know on we have a client that sells pet products, and one of the things they sell is a harness, and there's different sizes of the harness, and they have sizing guide images, all different types all over the page, but they also have the wizard in multiple locations on the page that helps them pick the right size for their pet. And every time they added another image or another wizard, the same wizard, but just another place where it can be activated on the long form page, conversions went up.
Sure. Yeah, of course. That's super contextual. You can repeat it like on several relevant pages, but that's something you should test, right? Just to make sure you're providing the right info on the right page.
Correct. Absolutely. So back to this wizard that you guys did that gave them basically a 4x lift in conversion. Why did this wizard work so well?
Because they offer an insane number of products, and there are many collections with many products in it. So people were really confused on what to pick. So in this case, as the wizard is like ailment oriented, and we get the symptoms and ask them what makes sense or not, this really helps making the confusion go away because it narrows down the results. So in this case, we show collections as a result because there are many products that treat the same thing. Mm-hmm. So, and then once they're on the collection page, they can filter the results by whatever they want, like color or price and other things that make sense to them.
Got it. So you're, again, just helping them find what they're looking for faster without the frustration. Now, How did you guys find out that this was a problem, that people were confused, that people weren't finding what they were looking for? Where did that information come from?
Typically the customer support. Also, we got a post-purchase survey on the store, and people are like, "Oh, I'm not sure if I got the right product," or, "Oh, I hope this works for what I need," and things like that. So the owner noticed the confusion when people were choosing the products. And of course, they were like confused because it was, for example, the same gemstone, but in different, 20, 50 different designs. Mm-hmm. So they were confused if it would be for the same thing.
Gotcha. So that's a good, interesting point there, though, because you guys were looking at it from the survey perspective of like, how do we help people find the right product? But based on what you're saying about customer service, you're probably also cutting down refunds and returns and buyer remorse because you're boosting that confidence pre-purchase so that they know that what they're getting is what they're actually looking for.
Yeah. So the thing is, they already had the survey previously, and then we kept seeing it on the post-purchase survey that people were confused. So it was like, okay, people are not seeing it. Mm-hmm. And so we saw the need of making it more prominent and trying different places and everything to make sure more people could access it and could find the things more easily.
And the survey the original survey was designed to do basically what the same thing the Wizard was, just not as the Wizard is much more of a user-friendly format than a Correct. Conditional survey, mm-hmm. right? Okay. And you guys can start with that. You can start with a conditional like Google form survey or something like that, where you just build out the conditions and it asks that. But the idea of the Wizard is it's designed to be very user-friendly and intuitive, and not intimidating. Whereas a lot of times a survey is very intimidating. But when it's designed as more of a Wizard with radio buttons where you check the box or you click the answer and you don't actually have to type or anything like that, it makes it a lot simpler, faster, and then obviously people don't get as intimidated by it. So again, you were talking about using the collection, but is there a preference there versus using the Wizard to send them to a collection or to a specific product?
Not really. That's very contextual because it depends on the number of products you offer and depends on your business. So, for example, if you sell computers, but only one of the computers is recommended for designers, you're going to show the product, not the collection, because there are not other similar products that fit the same thing. So in this case, we chose collections because many items solved the same issue. So it made sense. But in case there's only one option that treats that brings the result the person is looking for, so then you show the product itself, not the collection. So
you can mix it up, right? Based on whatever their response is, you could show either a collection or a product, just depending on what their responses were to the survey or the Wizard. And then the other piece I want to just bring back to the forefront, because you said it, but I want to make sure everybody who's listening hears it. When you're sending them to a collection page, the Wizard does the initial narrowing down and recommendation to the category. But once they're in the category, Mariana said that they still have the ability within that category to do further filtering based on price or type or whatever. So if it's jewelry, it's like you could still filter by necklace, bracelet, or ring, or something like that, or by price, or by reviews, or whatever else. So just because you have a Wizard does not negate the need for good filters on your category page, because the Wizard just takes the first step when they're going to the category. And then maybe they want to sort by color. Maybe they only want to look at necklaces. And if you're making them wade through all the other stuff, then, you've basically defeated the purpose of using the wizard to get them to that stage.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you could have a super specific wizard, but it might not make sense, for example, where you ask price and everything, but if you already have the filters on the collection pages, I don't think it makes sense unless you just tested it already and you saw it's relevant for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, just make sure you have the filters if you're offering collections so they can choose whatever it's important for them and make their navigation easier.
Now, in this case, obviously, the client has in the store, they have a lot of products, right? A lot of SKUs, but you don't have to have a lot of products to have a wizard be beneficial, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, go ahead.
A little bit. No, I was going to ask you to kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
No, yeah. So if you only offer a few products, but let's say the features are very similar, but they're, as you said, about the regular product and the pro. I mean, how will probably the user won't think, okay, I'm not going to pay extra if I don't need, I'm not sure if I need it. Mm-hmm. So then you can avoid the frustration of not getting what you actually needed, and then refunds, as we spoke previously. So yeah, it makes sense. Whenever you notice a confusion on your customer's end when they're choosing something. So it depends if they're not understanding the features. So in this case, the gemstones are not relevant. What's relevant is that it's what they treat. So that's why we focused on that and not other elements. So whenever you notice that customers are not, if information is not clear to them, it's probably worth to try a wizard to build something from that.
Mm-hmm. It can also be used to, highlight a product that's not getting the attention that you want it to, because of those same reasons that Mariana is talking about. So again, we have a client that sells like the massage guns, right? The real popular massage guns. And they have a normal version, and then they have the pro version, and they really wanted people to be buying the pro version. Profits better, everything's better on that gun. But the people were just naturally going to one because they look almost the same. There wasn't enough distinction, and there was no way for them to really compare and contrast. Besides, we actually added a compare and contrasting chart where it would like show the differences. But the wizard actually made it even better because people could answer like, hey, are you an athlete? Are you this? Are you that? And then it would offer the correct one. But typically the feature set that they wanted was in the pro version. They just didn't know that. So the pro version was recommended more often. And the other thing, another little sneaky thing that they did was if the regular version was offered and it was added to cart, they had a one-time offer that would show up that would allow people to upgrade to the pro version for a discounted rate and still try to push those regular buyers into the pro version. So there's lots of different ways it can be leveraged and utilized. It just depends on, what your products are, what you're selling, and what your customers need. Again, sizing guides. That's another one where wizards are very common, that they work really well, but people think that, I have a sizing chart, I don't need a wizard. Well, so a lot of times people have a tougher time reading the sizing chart and understanding it than they do answering a few questions. Plus, it's not even that, if it could be the same information, it's how it's presented though. People feel more confident in their decision when they're being asked questions that are eliminating choices for them, and then says, hey, you're a medium. You're like, oh, good. Like that fits me. That's a personal, like almost having a tailor measure you and go, oh, this is your perfect size. Right.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And so it's a perception as well of just making the customer feel more confident in what they're doing, because they feel like it's a personalized experience versus, a more generic experience. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome. Well, guys, we covered a lot with Mariana today. I want you guys to go out and attempt a wizard. There are apps that can do it. You can custom code it. There's ways to do that. But if your product lends itself well to a wizard, or you think it would, figure out a way that you can structure your wizard in a multi-step, very simple, like one question at a time. And each question opens up the next step. And then it just kind of takes them on the journey. Give that a shot, see how it works, test it. Let us know what you come up with. And if you have trouble with it or whatever, jump in our groups and stuff and start talking and showing, and we can, offer some advice there. But the thing you need to do right now is make sure you are subscribed to this podcast, right? Go to buildgrowscale.com/podcast. You can get all the links to Spotify, YouTube, everything. It's a video podcast, so sometimes we're sharing things on the screen that you're going to want to see. So I would recommend you be subscribed to whatever your favorite audio podcast platform is, and then also on the YouTube channel so that you don't miss anything. And then also, if you want the show notes, you can go to buildgrowscale.com/podcast and get those as well. And the final thing, guys, leave us a review, leave us a comment on whatever platform you're on. Let us know what you think. Let us know any ideas you have for future episodes, and we will get those created, because this podcast is for you. So thank you for your time, and we'll see you in the next episode.